The Nashville Predators played solid defensively, won puck battles, and generated high danger chances for 2 periods against the Maple Leafs. Why can't this team win a damn game?
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to this slightly unhinged episode of the Locked On Predators podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. We are, of course, your free daily Nashville Predators podcast, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to kick off this frustrating Thursday episode with a shout out to our Locked On Predators insiders and, of course, to our everydayers. We appreciate your support. We love talking Nashville Predators hockey with you because misery loves company. I'm Ann Kimmel. I am a writer with Penalty Box Radio, and my friends, I have a partner in crime.
You do. I'm Emma Lingen, and I'm the Predators site editor and reporter for the Hockey News.
Emma, I do want to say that I think the words "in crime" summarize about where we're at. Like, we're this close to a misdemeanor, y'all.
Yeah, it's getting rough out there.
It's getting rough out there. Well, we're going to talk about the rough on today's show. Of course, the Predators show signs of life and then get thrown off their game in the final period against the Maple Leafs. We're going to break down the breakdown with our one word. We're going to tell you what this team has to do to address the problems that are keeping them from winning games in this league. Plus, we are going to celebrate today an underrated but horribly appropriate holiday today, friends. Krampus is coming. Before we dive into all of that, want to let you know today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Emma, I swear on all that's holy, I just want to recap a game where the final score isn't 3-2. And at this point, I just want to recap a game that the Nashville Predators win. Is this ever going to happen? Is this team ever going to win a game again?
At this point, I don't know. It is frustrating. Again, straight up not having a good time over here. And that is as a reminder to anyone else who is listening. This is not fun for us either. So just
we're going to make it fun, but watching these games is excruciating. Am I wrong or am I wrong?
Yeah, like, I don't know. I mean, the game, it was the first period, they looked really good. Really good. It was like, okay, all right, here we go. And, you should have known better. We should have known better than to get excited after one good period, because then second period comes along and they play a good period defensively, but the offense disappears. They only get 3 shots on goal. Yeah. Only 3 shots, and none of them were particularly dangerous. And then the third period, it seems like the wheels fall off. They just give up 2 goals right away. Mark Jankowski comes and gives him, a little sign of life at the end with a goal. And it's like that woke them up. And that's when they're like, oh, shoot. Okay, we have a chance here. But by that point, there was only 3 minutes left and it was too late.
Yeah.
It's just
so frustrating. Of course, we recap these games with our one word to describe the game. Emma, I'm going to kick it off because this I shared it with my husband and he was like, ooh, yeah, that's it. My one word, which is 3 words because it's our show and we break the rules. My one word is wet toilet paper. This team reminds me of wet toilet paper because the minute something goes wrong, and it, quote, gets wet, it just disintegrates. And it becomes no use to anyone. When I was growing up, I'm the youngest of 3 girls, and like our meanest trick to each other when one of them one of us was taking a shower, the other one would sneak in the bathroom and get toilet paper and throw it on the person in the shower, and it would be wet and disintegrate on you. That's what I feel like is happening when I'm watching these games. I feel covered in wet toilet paper. You all. And
yeah.
they just fall apart. The gig that they're there for, playing hockey, they just can't do it because they fall apart. It's like the minute you saw that first goal in the first 31 seconds of the third period, you were like, and it begins. Because you're like, oh, I have read this chapter. This is not a choose your own adventure. This is the sequel.
We know exactly how this one's going to end. Yeah. No, it's funny you say the wet toilet paper. Where I went to college, we had a tradition called rolling the quad. So after a big win, it usually, it was supposed to be reserved for a big win in like football or men's basketball, but we didn't really get a lot of those. So it got to the point where it was like any win, we would do this. We would go and roll the quad. So roll as in a roll of toilet paper. People would hoard and stockpile toilet paper from the dorm bathrooms like all week leading up to this, because this would happen on a Saturday and maintenance doesn't come until Monday. And so basically what we would do is go out and, the quad on campus is lined with trees, we would go and just TP all the trees. And I will say it looked really pretty. It looked really cool when it was first done. It looked like it had snowed. The worst was when it rained the next day.
No.
Just trees filled with wet toilet paper. And it is the nastiest, ugliest looking thing. And that is exactly what watching this team feels like right now. It's just watching trees filled with wet toilet paper. It's not fun.
Here's the thing. Here's the deal I think we need to make, Emma, because we're like, is this team ever going to win a game again? If they win a game again, I say we roll Bridgestone Arena, baby.
Just roll the quad. I'll just go out,
roll the Rene statue. We're just going to toilet paper it. Like, woo, they won 1-0 against San Jose.
God, yeah.
If that.
I'm going to go outside, like roll my balcony if they win. Again, just
I'll
roll my own home.
I'll roll my Christmas gnomes. I have
there you go.
So I'll just roll them. That's what we're gonna do. But you all, seriously, man, wet toilet paper game, if ever I've watched one. Emma, what is your one word? I hope it's not as gross.
I mean, it's the exact same concept, like same idea, but less I don't know, less colorful, I guess. Wheels falling off. Just the wheels just fell off. And it was like you said, as soon as you saw that first goal from Auston Matthews 31 seconds into the period, you just go, oh no. And because it's like they couldn't recover from it. And by the time they tried, or it was too late, and they hadn't been playing well enough up until that point. So it's just like all it takes is like the wheels completely fall off. Like they don't just get a flat tire. They blow the tire, and then the entire wheel just comes off the car, and they're in a ditch on the side of the road while the Maple Leafs are, doing donuts in front of them and laughing at them. Like that's just kind of what it feels like.
That is such a great visual. Painfully accurate, y'all.
Auston Matthews is out there popping wheelies.
He's got the car that raises up and lowers.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what those are called, but I would drive that. Yeah. I would drive that. Yeah. Of course, we reach out to our Lockdown Predators insiders through these games. It's quite the support group. Macy's one word is meltdown. This team's epic meltdowns are going to start making me meltdown along with them. Oh, Macy, 100%. Like, welcome to the wet toilet paper society. We should get t-shirts. Rebecca said, my one word, hex. This team is cursed, and all one can do now is shrug and laugh at this season. Has anybody saged the locker room? I'm not huge into essential oils, but I'm not above it.
Maybe we should roll the locker room next time we're in there. It's a sure way to never be invited back, but at this point.
You do what you have to do. I mean, this was rough, y'all. Coming up, we're going to break down the game. We're going to talk about the opportunities that Nashville choked on. We're going to talk about the problem that they have to fix. And we are going to have a holiday celebration on this show, even if it kills us. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, and it's all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of that game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more. And it's all going to be on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit fanduel.com to join today. Again, you're going to get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's fanduel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, Emma, I was poking around looking at some of the stats from this game, and you know what? They just make me feel worse. I need a few more sheets of Charmin as I look at these. Nashville led the game in high danger chances, 9-5. Nashville had higher Corsi 4 in that third period, where they got outscored 3-0. This is a team. And I go back to my martial arts MMA stuff. And here is what I learned. I learned a lot of things from that, but here's what I learned from that I think of when I think about this Predators team. You are never going to win in a fight unless you use combination punches and unless you have some sort of counter punch. Very rarely in a fight are you going to knock someone down with one punch. You have to get combinations. You've got to do jab, cross, uppercut, hook, jab, cross. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have combinations and you have to counter punch. Like, if they jab you, you got to cross them back. This is just what you have to do. This team has no combinations. And they do not know how to counterpunch. They take a punch in the mouth and they stagger. And like you said, they staggered until Mark Jankowski in that fourth line, because he got switched to the fourth line. We'll talk about that. That fourth line got a chance to counterpunch. They were working for it. They worked for it. They forechecked. They got the puck. Jankowski got that goal. But so much time had elapsed from the 31 seconds that Auston Matthews tied this game up to when this team could get themselves right and on their skates and put something together that was threatening enough. You have to be able to counterpunch. And they also don't have combinations. Right now, there is not one player out on that ice that has it going on. Roman Josi, I would say Roman Josi doing pretty well, and UC Saros. Thank God for UC Saros. Nobody else is going. Even Jonathan Marchessault, I was so excited. Okay, Marchessault got a goal. But you look at that goal, it's kind of a fluke goal. Now, it's really nice that a fluke goal goes Nashville's way. None of the other ones are. But this team cannot put the puck in the back of the net by multiple players in the span of one game. What is the deal? What is the deal?
I wish I knew.
I know.
But it's like you talking about when you're talking about the counter punch and everything. My first thought was like kind of like in baseball, when a pitcher, like, to be successful as a pitcher, you need to have an arsenal. You need to have at least 3 different pitches that you can go to, because if you don't, what happens? You become very predictable, and hitters are going to start hitting you really easily because you don't have different pitches that you can go to in your arsenal. And that's what I think of when I think of the Predators right now. It's like they don't have any tricks up their sleeve. They are doing nothing to keep the other team guessing. It's all just like, well, we're just going to fall back and like again, we're very predictable. Like we said, we knew as soon as Matthews scored that first goal, it was like, well, we know how this one's going to end.
And Toronto knew it too. I mean,
Yeah.
you could tell Toronto was like, and here we go. And everybody else was like, here we go. Yeah. Yeah. It's good times.
Yeah. It's just really frustrating because, again, offensively, the Predators looked really good in the first period. Like right off the jump. I mean, they spent a lot of time in Toronto's zone and they were peppering the net with chances. Again, the Marchessault goal was kind of a fluke. It was like 1-on-4, but goes in.
Whatever.
Sure. And so like it gives them a little bit of momentum. Okay. And it still looked like they were creating those chances and those opportunities. And then you get to the second period and they were doing a good job of limiting Toronto's chances, but then they weren't generating any of their own.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time you get to the third period, they're just not doing anything because it was like, Matthews scores and it's like, oh no, our wheels have fallen off. Our toilet paper is wet. Like we want to go home. Everything's terrible. So, or maybe that was just me thinking that.
Same.
But the offense just wasn't there. Like they were doing nothing after the first period I would say the first period and then the last like 4 minutes of the third period. But in between that time, there was not enough speed. There, like the transition game was sloppy.
Mm-hmm.
They just couldn't get anything going through the zone. And again, even in the first period, they were at least able to get that transition through. And then it was just like, oh well, now we're just going to turn the puck over. And it's baffling. It's frustrating. It's
it's wet toilet paper.
Yeah.
It's wet toilet paper. What is frustrating to me, talking about this counterpunching is that the Maple Leafs provided Nashville with a golden opportunity to punch back on the power play. They had a power play. And then Steven Stamkos gets whistled for a trip. And then Jonathan Marchessault on 4-on-4 gets whistled. And it's like, you didn't even have to work to get the opportunity to punch back, to counterpunch, to swing the momentum in this game. And you screwed that up. Like, and I get that stuff happens, but you can't let it, like at this point, you can't be tripping a dude when you've got a power play and you know what I'm saying? You just can't trip a dude.
That's just sloppy. It's bad hockey and it's lazy. And can I just say, I'm sorry. I know he had a goal in the first period. Jonathan Marchessault was awful, especially in the third period. He was awful. It seemed every time he had the puck, he was either putting it right on another guy's tape or he was just losing it in his own skates or he just, didn't know what to do with it. And it was creating so many dangerous chances for Toronto.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where he was a liability in the third period. And that you can't be having that again, and it seems like it wasn't just this game. It seems like this happens a lot where it's like, if they get a power play opportunity, they immediately, commit a penalty of their own. And then whoop, there goes the power play. And so we don't even know if the power play is any good because we never get a chance to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, talking about Marchessault, and sometimes, and I hate to say this, but I'm just going to say the quiet part out loud. Sometimes I feel like this with Forsberg. We have talked before about this is a problem that has happened on an individual level. Individually, these players are all struggling. But to solve the problem, you have to do it collectively. And every so often, I feel like we see flashes of players who are like, I am going to force this on my own to get in there and get a goal and make it happen. And it's like, no, you have to do it collectively. Because there's nobody going right now who really can do that except maybe Roman Josi. Nobody here has the it being scoring a frickin' goal. Nobody has the it enough to put this team on their back offensively. And when you start trying to do that and you don't have it yourself, it just costs the team. One of our insiders, Gene, one of our favorite friends, messaged. He was like, "Do they practice shooting?" Because here's what is so real about these games, y'all. Nashville is shooting the puck. They're just not hitting on the goal. And I literally had talk about having meltdowns, Macy. I said out loud in a living room to my dog, because that's who was there to hear it. I was like, the goal is not moving side to side. Like, this is not an arcade game. Like, it doesn't go back and forth.
Like the windmill in the putt course. Like that's
It's not that.
I will not repeat what I was saying out loud to my dog while watching that
I'm
game.
intrigued. What did Minka hear?
Minka hears some things, and it's a good thing that she can't talk, because I know that she'd be going and telling on me to my mom, who would not like to hear the words that I was saying. But you know what? This team brings that out of me. Okay, like you run out of words at some point, and here we are being paid to give you words about this team, and we have none. We have none left.
We are nice girls, but we swear a little when we watch this team, y'all.
Wet toilet paper.
Wet toilet paper. Gosh. And here's the thing, Emma. We're going to do the same thing tonight, baby. So unpack the Charmin. The Preds are playing Montreal.
Charmin's a little bit too nice. You know, this is like one ply, like generic brand wet toilet paper.
We're talking like Motel 6 single ply. Okay, that's what we're dealing with. Motel 6 single ply. Back on the ice tonight against Montreal. Coming up, we are going to preview the Montreal game. And then, friends, we're having a holiday. It's a hockey holiday. We'll tell you all about it coming up. All right, Emma, because last night was so much fun, let's just circle back around and do it all again. The Nashville Predators are taking on Montreal, and Montreal 9-13-3, better record. But this is a Montreal team that's not nothing. It's not nothing. You know, they've got some really interesting young players. Cole Caulfield, they've got Suzuki. Patrick Laine returned back after missing, I think, the first 23, 24 games. He was back, scored a goal. People do that. I don't know if you all knew this, but people do score goals.
And they can do it more than twice in a single game.
And Montreal just won an overtime game. Yeah, you can win those. I don't know if you all knew. Newsflash. So Montreal beat the New York Islanders 2-1. I think that was Tuesday night's game. I think this game is going to be a goaltending game. I think it's going to be really interesting because Samuel Montembeault, when he's good, he's very good. But when he's bad, he's naughty. Like he either lets in no goals or 1 or 2 goals, or it's like 4 goals or more. He's had 7 games where they've given up 4 or more goals this season. So it's like, which one will you get? If he's good, which I'm telling you something, he was real good against the Islanders. I mean, that game between him and Sorokin, I was like, could you all just stop? I'm getting hot flashes because the goaltending was so good. And I suspect we're going to see our first look at Big Juice in net tonight. How do you anticipate that going?
Well, first of all, just going back to Montreal for a second, and Montembeault, who, by the way, was named to Team Canada for the Four Nations face-off, so good for him. But
let's go.
I don't want to put it all on him. The defense in front of him is not very good, and
You're not wrong.
Now a good goalie like UC Saros, for example, when the defense in front of him is not very good, he can usually at least make up for some of that. But I think that the defense, defensively, this team is not very strong.
Yeah.
Now that should be a weakness that Nashville should capitalize on. But again, when you
Again, the goal moves back and forth if you're a Nashville Predator player.
There's a windmill in front of it.
There's
Yep.
that visual so very much. Like, you don't need a goaltender, just put the windmill from putt there. Never gonna hit it. Never gonna hit it.
No. It's just they'll still find a way to hit the post every time.
I know, y'all. All you can do is laugh at this point. Laugh or cry. Do you suspect we'll see Ananen? And how do you think he's going to do? What's the challenge for him being new and fresh in front of this Nashville Predators team that I don't know if people have noticed, but they're struggling?
I do think we'll see Ananen. I think that first of all, this kid, 24 years old, traded for the first time in his career mid-season. Like, this kid's his head's got to be spinning right now. And he is, but he's a pro. And I think that, coming in, he's like 4 days into this now, 4 or 5 days into this. So fresh. I think it can be a good thing, because it kind of in a similar way that, like, yes, the Predators are struggling very much so. But it's kind of good, I think, almost to get a fresh, fresh perspective in there. Like someone who, yes, he's part of the team now, but he hasn't been slogging through all of them, like through all of this with them.
That's true.
And so I think that could be a benefit. I think that there's also the fact that he is new and he's not Saros. And I think that a lot of times will kind of cause the guys in front of him to maybe be on their game a little bit more. And I mean, you'd hope so. I think you saw that a little bit. And I think that, again, I've talked about how he's, his head's got to be spinning right now, but he's experienced. He's got NHL experience, and this is not his first rodeo. I think that this will be a good test for him because Montreal does have the, talented young scorers that they do have. But again, Nashville is going to have to be really solid defensively in front of him, which they were in Toronto. But, if they could also do, again, I say this is not American football. We can play offense and defense at the same time.
Yeah. Nobody ever died from doing that. I do think it will be interesting to see Ananen in net. I'm really excited for that for him. And I agree with you. I think this may be something where the team has to dig a little deeper because they're like, hey, we need to help out. I asked Roman Josi and Andrew Brunette about, bringing in a new goaltender and working with him and somebody who is new with the team. And they just said the key is communication. Communicate. And, really they've been working in practice a lot with him, trying to sort of learn his tendencies as far as like playing the puck and all of that. But really both of them just said the key when he gets in these early games is just communication. So that's something we're going to be watching for in tonight's game. Tonight is also an amazing holiday, friends. December 5th, it is time for Krampus. Krampus is coming. I don't know if you all know about this. There's a horror movie, but this was a thing before the horror movie. My sister is very into German. She's fluent in German and she's got a master's degree in German. And so her family has always celebrated St. Nicolaus and Krampus. And in case you don't know, Krampus it's a pre-Germanic, half goat, half demon, real creepy looking thing. Wikipedia that sucker. And he goes around with St. Nicolaus, and Nicolaus brings gifts to good kids. So the way it works is December 5th, the kids all clean the house and then they put their shoes by the front door. And if they're good kids, Nicolaus brings them chocolates and oranges and nuts. If they are bad kids, Krampus comes with Nicolaus. And you know what he does? So here for this. He beats him with a birch rod and puts him in a sack and takes him to the woods. So friends, we are celebrating Hockey Krampus today.
It's so dark. I didn't realize he put him in a sack and took him to the woods.
Yeah. And this is something my sister celebrates with her 5 children as they grew up.
Well, then this might not be appropriate anymore. I was thinking because it's, holiday themed, we're going to be festive here. And I was going to my antlers.
Put on your Krampus ears.
My Krampus antlers that won't
Put on
stay
your
on.
Krampus antlers and
There
get
we
your
go.
sack out.
Yeah, and my birch rod to
Your
beat the
birch
children.
rod. I really was going to go get a stick, y'all. Now, look, we're not advocating for that. It's just a fun little story. But Emma and I decided that we want to talk about who is getting Krampus. Like, who is going in the sack to the woods with the birch rod when it comes to hockey. And oh my gosh, Minka is like, what the heck are you people talking about?
Minka doesn't want to get Krampused.
She does not want to get Krampus. But Emma, looking at not just the Nashville Predators, but I'm just saying hockey in general, who is Krampus coming for tonight?
Well, I think first we're gonna go into your invisible backpack of hockey grudges and go with Timo Meyer,
100%.
who probably speaks German, so it works.
Yeah. I wonder, he probably has celebrated this. I wonder if they've celebrated this. Yeah. Basically, my invisible backpack of hockey grudges is just Krampus's sack. That's all it is. It's just invisible because I don't want to get in trouble with Child Protective Services.
Yeah.
For me, Krampus is coming for the posts. Just beat the posts with a birch bark twig because they've robbed us of joy. And that sound is just haunting. Like, I feel that sound in my bones. We were at practice Tuesday before they flew out, and they hit a couple posts in practice too, y'all. And you just hear that sound, and it's like, oh, so Krampus, come for the goalposts. Yeah. Is there anybody else you want to throw in the sack or beat with a birch twig? I mean, the list is endless, but
I mean, I was gonna say it's probably a shorter list of people I don't want to
do that too.
Yeah, let's see. Well, after that game, because this is still fresh in my mind, after the Toronto game, I need someone to come beat Jonathan Marchessault with a stick. Like, I'm sorry, but dude, what were you doing in the third period? It was so bad. And
so tough, man. So hard to watch.
And I love Jonathan Marchessault. I like the guy a lot. And
Great guy.
Like I don't want to do this, but sometimes Krampus got a Krampus, and just
how do we not sell that swag here, y'all? Krampus got a Krampus. I don't know how we'd
also I would like to throw in referees who toss guys out of the face-off circle.
Oh my gosh. Drop the puck.
It just bothers me. I'm like, this is not necessary. Like, can we just get on with our lives, please? That's just a little side one. If Krampus has some time, on his hands, then yeah.
My second one actually piggybacks and dovetails nicely with that. While Krampus is at it, throw in the referees that have ever sent someone to the box for embellishment. If it is a penalty, I don't care if they trip with flair. Stop calling a penalty and then calling embellishment. I'm a theater major. We want these NHL players to be bigger personalities. You send them to the box when they do something with flair. Every referee who's ever sent someone to the box for embellishment, Krampus is coming.
And they always try to sell it. I mean, that's the point. Even if you draw a penalty, it's your job to try to sell it to the officials. Like, I mean, within reason, like, don't go crazy. But if it's an actual penalty, then I don't think embellishment should be a thing.
No, as a matter of fact, I think you should get an extra minute on the power play if they do it big and wild and with Broadway jazz hands.
Yes. God, I would love just like Luke Evangelista trips and just jazz hands when he gets up.
Come on.
I love that. I would love it.
That would be amazing. We should talk to him about that. We're going to bring that up. Maybe not right now. Now might not be the best time to talk about jazz hands because right now we're just talking about like scoring goals, y'all. We just need this team to score goals. And look, that's what we're going to hope for tonight. Again, Nashville Predators making a trip through Canada. It's just been so fun to start. Now they're going to Montreal tonight. Of course, Emma and I will be back tomorrow to recap that game. She may or may not still be wearing her Krampus ears. I don't know if we're going to see how this game goes. We may have to like extend December 5th another day or so. Oh, y'all.
I don't know. Maybe something a little bit more festive. I don't know.
I
More
don't know,
festive
man.
than this is going to be hard,
It's
but
going to be hard to top the Krampus ears. I love it.
as they fall apart.
It has been a game, y'all. Thanks for hanging in with us. Sometimes all you can do is just laugh about it and hope for the best. And, you know, we've got lots more angst. Don't worry. We'll be back to being angsty anytime.
Sometimes you got to laugh so you don't cry.
100%. That's where we're at. Before we do start crying, Emma, will you let everyone know where they can find you and your work?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Emma_Lingen. You can find my work at The Hockey News.
And you can find me on social media at AnnK_Mama on Ice. You can find my work with Penalty Box Radio as well. Hey, that is going to do it for this festive edition of the Locked On Predators podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. We are going to be back tomorrow with an all new episode. We're going to recap this Montreal game. We will hope for the best, and we'll see you tomorrow.